Hello and welcome to episode 246. I had to think about that. I forgot what number it was of the Ram Nintendo podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Angel.
I'm Kevin.
And we've got news, a good amount of it too. A lot of it centers around the continuing anniversaries of Mario with his 35th and the Star of Pokemon's with his 25th. But it all feels quite familiar. I mean, Nintendo's outlining a lot of new stuff they're doing, but it's kind of things we've seen before, or new riffs on things we've seen before. Even Monster Hunter Rise, which doesn't have a anniversary, is kind of a thing we've seen before. So we're calling this episode Here We Go Again. Angel's great Mario referencing title.
Yep,
and we're going to be discussing all that. It sure was. You were not surprised when I pointed out that's Mario's catchphrase. Not at all. But yeah, we'll be discussing all that. We'll be talking about some other Nintendo news, like how they acquired Next Level Games and some of our favorite Next Level games. So yeah, there's timestamps on the blog post if you're at ramtown.com. There's timestamps on the YouTube video if you're on that video platform. But yeah, I guess we just jump right in. I mean, how's everyone doing? How's your gaming lives going?
I've got a bone to pick with the Joy-Con. So as everybody knows, one of my favorite games of all time is Hades, released last year. Those Supergiant games. And they finally released the cross-save patch, so I was very excited to play it on the Switch, in handheld mode, in my bed, nice and comfy, a run or two right before I go to bed. And the Joy-Con are just terrible. The ergonomics of the Joy-Con, especially in handheld mode, is just awful. And then it got me thinking. I just have always hated how Nintendo handhelds have felt in my hand. The DS, painful. I think it might be just the way that I'm holding it wrong, but I can't even enjoy Hades on Switch. It's terrible. I've thought about buying that like Hori grip, where it's just like two huge Joy-Con that you attach to the side of the to the sides of the Switch itself. But man, they need to do something with the Pro where they change some of the ergonomics on that thing, because it sucks for my palms.
I will say the Nintendo handheld that always was the worst for me, weirdly, was the 3DS. I think the XL primarily, where I noticed if I was playing it for a while, my hand would actually fall asleep.
Yep.
Even though I was actively using it to like play the game. I think on the Switch, at least for me, I don't mind the Joy-Cons when they're slotted onto the system in normal handheld mode, but it is a known compromise from the start, and it's obviously been the case all along. But when you use the Joy-Cons individually, like for something like Super Mario Party, like last episode I was saying how like I played it on New Year's Eve again, and like using the like tiny little sideways Joy-Cons, and like neither one has optimal stick or like stick placement, like one's close to optimal, the other's like halfway in the controller. Like I understand why it's like that, so they can slot on and off, and you can do co-op at any time, and like I get all that. But yeah, they're not ideal at all. And it is, the more I think about it over the years, weird that there's no D-pad Joy-Con. Like you can't just slot in a D-pad for 2D games.
And of course they
just force you to use the stick.
And of course they've made shells where you could swap out those little buttons for a D-pad, but nobody's got time for that. Come on, just make it official.
But they're not official.
Yeah,
really.
Just make it official.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And because they're not official, they don't have the good D-pad, because Nintendo literally has a patent on that exact D-pad design, which is why if you look at Xbox or PlayStation, PlayStation 4 buttons that kind of come together. Xbox is like a little circular pad thing that wiggle. Like no one does a true cross D-pad because Nintendo owns that thing.
I do like
they won't do anything
PlayStation
with
D-pads way better than Nintendo D-pads. I must admit, but
really interesting.
Absolutely.
I really like Nintendo's D-pads. I mean, Nintendo's D-pads have a range. Like, there's some that are squishier, there's some that are harder and more solid, but like, for the most part, like the DS D-pad I thought was good. I think on the Pro Controller, the D-pad's pretty good now that I finally own a Pro Controller. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird that Nintendo never made a D-pad Joy-Con given how many 2D games are on Switch, including their own. I mean, like, it's technically 2D in a way. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, like, that thing feels like it should be made for a D-pad. And yet, all you have is a stick.
Wait.
Or like Tetris 99, you have to use the face buttons. You can't use the stick. and there's no D-pad. It's just
So I'm guessing you don't have a Pro Controller, Kevin?
I do, but I'm not gonna have a Pro Controller
for
while I'm
handheld
laying in
mode.
bed. Yeah, in handheld mode, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess. Damn, do I ever even play in handheld mode? I don't. Even when I do take my 3DS, my Switch with me in other places, I would just use it in stand mode, and I just use my Pro Controller anyway. I don't think I ever really play it in bed, and I guess if I do, it's usually something that doesn't need the thumbstick. I mean, the D-pad. For the most part, I could just get along with the joystick anyway. But yeah, I think it's hard for me to even recall like how often I use the actual Joy-Cons, be it like attached to the Switch or not, just because of how dependent I am on the Pro Controller, I guess.
And
But
don't get
obviously,
me wrong, I
70
don't
bucks, yeah.
I don't really have an issue with the D-pad or the whatever you call that thing, the 4 buttons.
the face
The face
buttons,
buttons,
yes.
yeah, the directional face buttons. It's more just the ergonomics of the Joy-Con, especially in handheld
Yeah, it's
mode.
definitely not ergonomic.
Yeah, exactly.
The
you're-
first
yeah,
time
when
you
you're
hold
playing
it,
by
it's
itself, yeah.
always slightly awkward. Like even 4 years later, I guess we're approaching on 4 years. Like every time I always grab the Switch, like there's always like those initial like 4 to 5 seconds where it just feels weird, but then you just kind of get used to it again.
Yeah,
least for
and
me,
then
it's like
after
I feel like-
after like a couple of Hades runs, it's just digging into the palm of your hand. It sucks. It's so painful.
They could have made them. I don't know, like Nintendo, like their handhelds almost feel like they go like from ergonomic to not ergonomic to ergonomic. Like I remember, like the Game Boy Color was kind of like I felt it was kind of comfy to hold. It had that little bump
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
bottom.
fine.
It was a little curvy,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had the Game Boy Advance, which was pretty. I would say nice and ergonomic. It kept your hands spread out. The shoulder buttons were nice and thick, and then you get the SP, which I honestly never really found it very comfortable to hold. It was just
No,
very tiny.
it
The
wasn't.
buttons were short. It was a better system. I mean, it had the bigger screen, the light up, but yes, comfort wise, no. And then the DS, I mean, it was nice and bulky, so it was nice and ergonomic. But then,
The DS Lite.
DS Lite, yeah, was kind of going back to that, and it kind of just never recovered. Like
Yep.
the 3DS, I felt was probably like never really a great system comfort wise. You just kind of deal with
Those
it.
big
I would literally
shoulder
not play.
buttons they added with the XL though. Was
I
nice.
would literally
on the
not play
3DS.
my 3DS. I would not play Smash Bros because it would hurt after a while.
We just have to fight to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to play Smash Brothers. I guess I'm just gonna suffer.
Yeah, I want to
Oh,
play
God.
Hades,
And
but I
it's
guess
like-
I'm just gonna have to suffer.
And it just doesn't feel good, like doing smash attacks with that like circle pad. Like it's just not a good.
No, that was the worst.
Like
yeah,
I feel like I'm
no.
gonna break it, and I think because of Smash Brothers actually, and I think Monster Hunter, the circle pad on my original 3DS, like the top part fell off, so it's just kind of like a nub, like a plastic nub. But it is what it is.
Well, I feel like
since then I've had a
Nintendo-
new 3DS and a 3DS XL, so I think XL
I
was a
feel
little
like-
better, but yeah.
The circle pad to me was the definition, was like the textbook example of Nintendo making a concession to say they had a feature. Like the circle pad was not a good stick. It lets you close the system still, but like it broke off. It felt weird. Like it was, they eventually, I think them moving to Switch and being like, you know what, like
Even the nub they had.
we just gotta accept you're not gonna have a clamshell.
Kinda weird.
We just got these tiny sticks instead. Like those at least felt a little more normal than like and then they had the nub. You're right on the
New
the
3DS.
second nub on the new 3DS. Like the ThinkPad track nub was like somehow now a game input mechanism, which was weird too. Like they definitely, I don't know.
I
I
guess
feel
there's a
like their
Circle Pad
control
Pro.
inputs have been weirder than their ergonomics.
That definitely made the system very comfy to use, the Circle Pad Pro, and I think it give you like bigger shoulder buttons and a second analog
Yeah.
stick, but who's gonna like triple the size of their 3DS willingly?
And frankly, that's them conceding to the fact that they know the circle pad and the nub and all that weren't the answer. They were just what they can make work, which are different. I mean, clearly they were enough of an answer. 60 some odd million of those 3DSs were sold, but like they that's them admitting, it's not great. And I think I was blinded with the Switch initially because it did feel, I don't know, it did feel good, but then over time, like popping off the Joy-Cons is weird, or like dig into Palm. And again, Nintendo made a concession because they give you the bumpers or the sliders or whatever, those little things you could slot on with the wrist strap, which make the Joy-Cons when held individually feel a little more like a normal controller. Like they know the shoulder buttons are so bad, those little Tic Tacs. They made a whole second thing you carry around separately, slide on, and then it has normal shoulder buttons. Like they're aware. I just don't know if they're going to act on it. Because I think they weighed, the pros and cons and decided this was the route.
Yep.
But yeah, that's, I feel like that's what, instead of what we're playing, it's how we're playing. Because I don't think, like, normally we'd be talking about what games we're playing, but, start of the year, not a whole lot of stuff out that's new. Like, is there anything you guys are playing right now, or should we just go straight to news?
Hades when I'm not in pain, but I've talked everybody's ear off about Hades already. Play Hades.
Yeah, just
all right.
Just Smash Brothers. I mean, I started picking up Dragon Quest XI again just to, beat it and get it off that backlog, but nothing new. Just just the same old stuff for now.
It is kind of it's almost like here we go again back into games.
I am very much looking forward to Monster Hunter Rise. I mean, next month. 2 months from now will be great.
Well, yeah, so that was one of the big news stories that happened the last couple of weeks. Is they actually talked Capcom about Monster Hunter Rise. It sounds like fans are like, I don't know much about Monster Hunter. Like, does it seem promising? Like, what did they even announce?
I mean, people seem very excited about it. I mean, I guess I'm very excited about it, so I guess that definitely says something about the quality of what's being shown. It's always an interesting situation with Monster Hunter because, I mean, we just came off of World, which, was on a much powerful console than the Switch, and it just looks amazing. And then you kind of go to this one, which clearly looks like a big downgrade graphics wise, but gameplay wise, it doesn't sacrifice anything. It has every new mechanic introduced in World and then some. And it's not like they just added a few flourishes here or there for like quality of life. They like completely revamped the mobility and how you interact with monsters, which just looks amazing. I mean, for the most part, like we'll start with like the wyvern riding they introduced. Like at most, you would be able to, at occasion when you're damaging a monster, jump on their back and just deal some more damage while the monster tries to get you off of it. It becomes kind of like a mechanical bull mini game, and that was the extent of it. And if you succeed, then the monster like falls down and it's kind of like paralyzed for a little while, where you could like deal some more damage. Now they turned it into a full-on, I guess, like game mechanic, where you can ride the monster after some damage, or I guess like the setup is complete. And once you're riding it, you pretty much have full control of the monster as if the monster is a playable character, which is a pretty big deal because it looks like you could do it to pretty much any monster. Like first they showed it off with some smaller ones that you're like, oh, okay, of course they're gonna let you ride the, I guess what I'd call like mini bosses. But then they showed you riding one of the bigger ones, and then they even showed you riding the Rathalos, which is like the flagship monster of Monster Hunter, I would say, in general.
Right.
And while I doubt they're going to let you ride the colossal-sized ones, just the fact that you have such a wide range of monsters you could ride, like from a bunch of classic ones to a bunch of new ones, and I mean, you get a lot of control with them. Like, it's really cool. And not to mention the fact that, like, on top of getting a bunch of attacks with them, if you're something they've introduced in like Monster Hunter 3, and they've kind of evolved throughout the Monster Hunter games, is I guess what they call turf wars. Essentially monsters will occasionally show up and they'll start fighting each other while you're fighting them, or sometimes they'll like double team you. But essentially if you take control of one, you could use it to fight the other one, or if you're not fighting another one, you could just continuously ram them into a wall to deal more damage to them. But something else that they didn't have to do is over time, if you keep riding the monster and you keep dealing damage with them, they actually have their own like super meter that when you fill up, you could unleash like a super attack with the monster. So I don't know, it just seems like something that's just really fun. I mean, a lot of these mechanics just look like they just make the game more fun. And then the other one is essentially the wire bug mobility. Like they've already shown this off like in the trailers how you start with like one wire bug, you can collect up to 4, I believe, as you travel through the world, and you could essentially you become Spider-Man. That's like the easiest way to describe it. Spider-Man without needing to cling onto any building. So because these are insects, you could just like flying insects. You could essentially zip straight up above you, then zip straight up above you again, and to the side, in literally any direction you want. You could stay in the air. You can zip through a monster. You can use it to recover if you get hit. You could use like new combination attacks with the zip wires with your weapons. And because of that, they've had to make the worlds a lot more accessible. It's like they took a page from Breath of the Wild and just pretty much made like, oh, if you see it, you can climb on top of it. Not so much like,
right,
if you see something in the distance, you can get there. It's more so like you can pretty much traverse over anything. And they were showing how, like, even if you're at the very top of a mountain, you can, just using your wire bugs, you can literally, like, slowly ascend down all the way to the floor without taking any damage, just because they're that versatile. They almost seem kind of broken in the sense that they seem overpowered, but, which I guess is what broken means, but I don't know. It seems like they would rather have it be a mechanic that's really fun to use and abuse than something that's like, oh, okay, I have to be really careful with how I use my warrior bugs. Like, no, they're like, nope, just use them however you want. Just make the game as fun and free. And, you know, that's not even, like, counting the rideable dogs that you have in this game, the palamutes, as they call them. I mean, outside of just making running through an area, finding a monster much easier, because, you know, they're much, much faster. Like, it just seems really fun just to ride around with them. They could jump really high, they could climb up. I mean, they'll even fight alongside you, kind of like the cats. And just seeing, like, a group of hunters all riding their palamutes together just looks great. Not to mention, if you get the pre-order bonuses, you could turn them into a golden retriever. And I'm sure they're going to be many more costumes down the line. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get an Amaterasu costume, which,
I mean, I guess that, yeah.
I mean, like, how could they not do that one? I mean, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, it's in-house. They don't even have to license with anyone. It's
exactly,
them.
yeah.
The Kami's them.
So essentially, it's just shaping up to be a really fun game, and I can't wait to see how, like, they just keep pushing it. And we know, like, Monster Hunter just keeps adding on top of it. It doesn't really necessarily take away, except for the underwater combat. That's, like, the only instance I can see of them taking away. So when we eventually get, you know, like, a Monster Hunter World 2 on, like, PS5 and Xbox Series X or whatever, you know, we're just going to take all this that we have here, and then we're just going to go into the next one with a bunch of new stuff. And, you know, that's not even to mention, like, the newer monsters, which, you know, they seem to be based off of, like, Japanese folklore. You have, like, a Tengu reminiscent looking monster. You have these other ones that don't seem as grand as the other ones in world, but they definitely have, I don't know, creepier, I guess it's more like mythical monster designs, like, and I don't know, they just seem interesting, like one that just kind of freezes its arm and turns it into a blade and just starts, like, slashing at you. Or I guess the title monster, the one on the cover, just literally looks like a big buff demon. Like, I don't know, in action it looks pretty cool, but yeah, very much looking forward to this game. I unfortunately missed out on playing Monster Hunter World. Not that I didn't buy it, I actually bought it on day one. I even got the steelbook and everything, paid full price for it, and just never got around to it. And eventually it was like $20 less, could have waited, and just still never got to it. I'll still want to play it one day, but at this point,
we could
it's
play
kind
it
of
on
like
PC.
an RPG. No, yeah, that's what, like, if I do play it, I'm definitely just gonna play it on PC. Like, I might as well just, like, bump it all the way up, and I can still use a DualShock 4 while I'm at it. But yeah, for Monster Hunters, I feel it's a lot easier to get into if you hit the ground running from the beginning, especially because I normally play this game with my brother, but it kind of makes it harder when he already beat the game and I hadn't even started. So this way, you know, we could both be at the same time. Even though he was willing to play with me, it's not as motivating when someone is, like, super OP and you're the underdog. Like, you know, it's more fun when you're both struggling together instead of just being carried. But yeah.
And you just single-handedly described why I never beat my games. I'm always the underdog.
I mean, I like being the underdog, but I like being the underdog with someone else. I don't want to just be the underdog.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I know, I'm just riffing. But, yeah, I mean, it did, like, the buzz around it seems super positive. So, and it is, like, like, if you think about Nintendo, actually, it has, like, a pretty good slate of games coming up. I mean, there's Monster Hunter at the end of March. There's Bravely Default at the end of February. There's Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury at the start of February. or middle of February. There's Pokemon Snap in April. Like, that's like 4 months of pretty high-profile releases.
Yeah.
And Monster Hunter, I never thought I'd say it, might be one of the most high-profile of the bunch.
Definitely is.
Like, it's huge
The only
now.
concern people have is just the power. People keep saying, like, oh, like, the game looks great, but some of the footage, like, you could tell it's, like, kind of chugging a little at some instances. Like, where's that, the Switch Pro people were talking about? Because we got a new Nintendo 3DS when Monster Hunter 4 came out, like, perfectly timed to compensate for the power, but...
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but it should be, it really actually, Monster Hunter kind of kicked off all the news, too, because I think it was the first one that announced its new details, and then from there, Nintendo's like, alright, we got this, and started announcing their stuff, too. So unless you had any other thoughts on Monster Hunter, we might as well just move on to the thing that Nintendo first announced itself, which was Mario 3D World and plus Bowser's Fury. We don't know why he's furious, but we at least can now see how he's furious and what that fury looks like, which is very large, like Monster Hunter monster large.
That he's just mad about, the ending of the first one. His plan failed. It's like, oh, so mad, I need a vacation.
Well, I mean, that's every game. He could be mad about any ending from any game of it that he's in. But,
in this case, though.
But yeah, maybe. Okay. But here's the thing. You can play Bowser's Fury from the start. You don't need to wait to beat 3D World.
Then it's a prequel.
So,
then you're just going to be missing out.
Yeah, it's either a prequel. Whatever it is, he's angry. And his angry form is like, he's like peak Bowser. Like, he's somewhere between, like, how he looks with his special in Mario Strikers and, like, what Giga Bowser is in Smash. So before we even get to, like, what his Fury does and what the mode means, I gotta ask, Angel, you are a resident Bowser fan and expert, truly a Bowser scholar. So, what are your thoughts on his new Fury form and this idea of really, like, making him a Monster Hunter monster, basically?
It just looks badass. Like,
it looks awesome.
Like the theming,
it does, doesn't it?
Like, that clip of, like, the raining, the lightning, him just being all menacing. Like, he actually looks menacing. I think it's like the first, like, Mario game where he looks like a legitimate, like, threat. Like, oh man, like this, like he means business. Where, like, he does have, like, a lot of epic battles. Like, I think of Mario Galaxy 2's ending where you have the bombastic music that I feel makes it feel more awesome and threatening than Bowser himself does. Because, it's just a giant Bowser. He I don't know, he has spikes and stuff, but he's not necessarily the scariest looking enemy. But yeah, now he actually does, and it looks like, a lot of people compare, he looks like I don't know, it's very, like, Dark Souls-y, just like the mood and tone of it. And I think someone actually like composed, like, their own little, like, oh, what if this was like a Dark Souls theme, and like it just matched up perfectly. Like, I don't know, it just looks awesome. Very, very awesome.
Well, even the mode sort of plays into that. Not Dark Souls on that level, but, like, this idea of, like, ignoring the gameplay itself, the concept of you're going through and collecting these cat shines around this new area called Lake Blap Cat or something like that. And, you do that and you're powering up so you can become Giga Cat Mario to fight this giant Bowser. And for everything that Fury Bowser looks awesome for, I feel like Giga Cat Mario sort of undercuts because it looks so silly. But, either way, the thing that is going to tie in with Dark Souls is the difficulty changes on you as you go, because apparently at random times Fury Bowser is just going to strike. So the weather's going to change. There's going to be these giant attacks and spikes and fire and stuff all around you as you're trying to complete the same thing you were doing a second ago, but now it's much more difficult. And then it's kind of like the hardcore mode for a Mario game almost. And then at some point Bowser, steps back and it goes back to normal and then it does it again. But if you want the challenge, if you use the Bowser amiibo, you can just tap it and summon Bowser at any time and just have, like, the harder version. So that's kind of interesting because they don't usually do this sort of, like, duality of difficulties with Mario. It's usually just get through the level, fight the boss.
And will it just stay that way the whole time, or is it just, like,
I don't know. It might just be triggering it. I'm not sure, which would be kind of a hassle. I'm not sure. They haven't said. Likewise, if you tap Bowser Jr.'s amiibo, you get a little shockwave to defeat enemies. So you have one that makes things harder and one that makes things easier, which is kind of funny. But I think, it looks awesome, but I think, like, looking past Bowser himself, the mode is actually kind of unexpected in its approach. Like, here's Mario 3D World, a game that's sort of a hybrid of 3D Mario movement with, like, fixed path 2D Mario, and yet the DLC is this free-roaming, almost Mario Odyssey thing Like, really, the whole thing actually kind of feels like an amalgamation of, like, a bunch of different Marios. Because you've got, like, the sandbox of Odyssey. You've got the cat stuff, obviously, of 3D World, really heightened. Like, everything has cat ears. Everything in Lap Lake has cat ears. You've got the sort of light co-op thing with Bowser Jr. He's sort of your assistant. He runs around with you. But whether you want to interpret it as how Cappy was in Odyssey, or if you want to go with, like, the OG, like the co-star thing in Mario Galaxy, like a second player can sort of be there and do, like, light assistance as Bowser Jr. And then thematically, you've got the idea of, like, giant Mario battles, which, you know, with Giga Cat Mario and Fury Bowser, which takes a page from multiple Mario and Luigi games. And then you've got the return of Bowser Jr.'s Paintbrush, which we haven't seen
Although it seems more reminiscent
outside of
Gigantamax
Sunshine.
Pokemon, though.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, that was my first thought. It's like Dynamaxing. But yeah, it's just like this whole mode is like this weird mishmash of random Mario elements. Even a little Wind Waker in there, which I know is Zelda, but like the way you ride Plessy, you go from spot to spot around the lake, like kind of had some King of Red Lions vibes. But yeah, so I just think it's interesting that they could have just done a normal, you know, here's some more levels, but they really did something different. And I think, in my opinion at least, it's kind of like in many ways this whole thing just feels like so like, yep, this is how Nintendo would approach this. They're not just going to do more levels. Like, nothing's just happening because it's happening. Not just like, we're just going to make a new thing, but there's actually like a calculated reason that they did this. And I think once like you stop and think about it, it's like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense. Because this is a thing that we just saw the other week come out when they announced, or not announced, but Modder found those NPCs in Breath of the Wild are just modified Miis made with a Mii editor by the developers. Do you guys see that story? You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like ingenious of Nintendo, because it's almost to the same scale of how they made the bushes and clouds in the original Mario Bros. The same graphic in different colors. Because like, if you think about it, you know, make an open world game, you have two basic options of how you do this, right? You either have all the NPCs be variants of a few base designs, or you spend way too much time, energy, resources designing every single one. And Nintendo's like, no, or we're going to do option C. We're going to take our already existing, very intuitive, quick face builder and just retrofit it. So what the modder found, for those who haven't seen the story, is that a lot of facial features of Mii's line up with those of the Zelda NPCs, and even more so, you can actually convert a Mii file into the NPC faces for Zelda, which allowed Nintendo to very quickly, very easily make a robust, varied world without needing to build a tool to do it. They just sort of took something from, you know, a decade prior and use it, and it's kind of clever. And looking at Bowser's Fury, the thing I'm seeing there is, again, you know, yeah, they poured over 3D World, and they can port over the dev tools to expand its gameplay. Those were built with the Wii U in mind. Or they can use the existing Odyssey engine that's already fully functional on Switch and just kind of overlay some 3D World elements. So if you look at it from that perspective, this is actually the most logical thing Nintendo could have done, in a way. And if you want to go even one step further, maybe this actually was DLC for Mario Odyssey until they realized they could sell 3D World with it. So they, you know, pushed it over, and maybe can convince people who own 3D World on Wii U to make the jump and get it a second time. Which leads to the question of, Angel, are you going to double dip? Did this convince you to double dip? Because I know you had hesitations about 3D World originally.
I mean,
on Switch.
Bowser looks badass, and I'm a big fan of Bowser, so no, I'm not.
How come?
It just doesn't feel like enough, and I'm kind of slightly disappointed that it seems like it practically feels like you already beat the game just by watching the trailer. Like, it literally spoils
that
everything.
sucked. I don't know what they were doing.
Like,
yeah, that was dumb.
Like, you know, like, just kind of leave it at like, oh, Bowser's coming up, but then they show, you know, Mario growing big, and then I'm like, oh, like, either, like, you either have one or two thoughts, like, oh, are they really just showing the finale? And then later, someone posted pictures of like Mario during the fight as Giga Cat Mario, and it kind of takes away any motivation to play it. Not that like I don't want to play it one day, I definitely want to, but I don't feel motivated to like pay like the $60 right now, because you know, like, for one thing, like, my brother and I like 100% at Mario 3D World. Like, there is literally nothing in that game that we didn't do. So literally the only value comes from, like, you know, Bowser's Fury. And, you know, potentially, like, if 3 other friends get it, that could like definitely swing things over in the I'll get it side. But the other friends that we were considering playing this with we're still on the fence about it, just because, you know, it's $60. They're still kind of we're getting enough playtime from these other games. Like it's coming out at an interesting time. I feel I don't know, if we ever get a nice little sale of like maybe $20-$30 cheaper, that would definitely help. But even just like the Bowser's Fury, like to me, it feels kind of underwhelming overall. Like the fact that you could just, I guess, tap the Bowser amiibo. Like I feel like if I were to play it, I'd probably do that the whole time. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of just like, it's like so close, but no, like it doesn't quite hit it yet. And yeah, the fact that they spoiled most of it too. It's just kind of, I wish they had left some surprises, but it seems like there's nothing really to discover.
Yeah, that was really weird. And I think to your point about like the scale of it, yeah, it is. I mean, the fact that Nintendo keeps calling it kind of like this short or like quick, or I forgot what word they use.
It looks like you could beat it in one session. It literally looks like you could beat it in one session.
It's probably like, you could probably, if you want to find every secret and everything, it's probably like 90 minutes. It's basically a Mario Odyssey Kingdom.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's using the engine, it looks like, as I was saying. So, like, it probably is a Mario Odyssey.
I mean, 3D World has had some open world areas, but they're usually pretty barren. But
and even then, it's not anywhere near like anything like this. Yeah, because the thing is, well, Kevin, did you never played the original 3D World, right? Because you didn't have a Wii U. No. So, are you? Because I think like the value proposition for folks who. Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think the value proposition for us is insane as an entirely new game. Like, are you considering it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I figured. Because, like, honestly, like, you're in for a really good game. Like, I mean, the one thing that stood out to me back in the day...
Like, the whole package looks awesome as a whole, but I feel like, damn it, like, that's what I get for supporting Nintendo on the Wii U and going all in on their games.
Well, it's funny. Well, it's funny because...
Like, I wish I hadn't played it so I could play it now. Because, you know, like, they also have those quality of life improvements. Like, the characters run and everything moves faster in the game, which is a big deal that I feel like would just make the gameplay experience a lot better than it was on the Wii U. Because it did feel kind of sluggish at times. But, you know, I still loved it. But, yeah, like, even just that, I feel like, makes me go like, oh, I wish I had played it like this. But...
Yeah, and then, like, there's even stuff overlaid on it that isn't that crucial, but just kind of nice. Like, the snapshot mode from Odyssey. Literally, the same mode, same filters and everything now exists in 3D World, but they added the stamps you collect. So now the stamps you collect actually have a purpose besides you just throw them on a Miiverse message when Miiverse was a thing. Like, it actually feels more, like, cohesive. And, like, it's funny because I'm on the other side of the coin of you, Angel. Like, I have the game pre-ordered. Let's be real. It's just because I want the second set of my Nintendo Mario pins. But no, seriously, like, I think, for me, one of the big reasons I'm double dipping is, well, one, I don't beat my games. We know that. But two, I feel like this is, like, how it was meant to be played because the game was a up to 4-player co-op game. Yeah, you could do solo, and that's what I did on Wii, but the idea that, hey, if I know some people and they want to play online, whether it's us and we wait a few months, whether it's, you know, when our friends catch up and decide to get it, or whether I find another group or something, like knowing that I can now actually experience it with 4 players, which is something I couldn't do on Wii U, and I don't have to, like, go recruit
You'll
people.
be able to
like,
beat it.
Possibly, or I'll at least get, like, the developer's original vision more fully, you know? And then the quality of life improvements, like you were saying, are really nice. And, yeah, like, the online play is a huge game changer, both figuratively and literally, I feel like. I mean, it obviously only has got to work with friends, not random people, which, you know, that's how a lot of these sort of, like, Minecraft Dungeons only works with friends. Like, that's just how these sort of things work, so I'm not too surprised about that. But I feel like it's just, you know, going through a whole game together when the game was pitched as a 4-player experience is the way to do it. But even if you do it so, like, Kevin, if you have not experienced this, it's a really fun game. Like, I think new players like you are going to be really into it because, I mean, it's such an interesting hybrid because it's they basically took a 2D Mario and, like, turned it on its Z-axis. So it's more linear. It's got the flagpole. It even has a run button. But, like, it's just really well done. It feels very, like, curated.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Only other, like, I guess, bummer about this Fury that kind of made me go, like, that made me not get as excited for it was the fact that, kind of like you mentioned, like, it's like a light co-op game. Like, it didn't... First I thought, like, okay, it's like an extension to Super Mario 3D World, so it'll probably be 4 players. This is like before we heard anything, or even saw anything. Like, I thought it was just going to be another thing I could, like, okay, at the very least I could beat this with my brother. And then, you know, the trailer comes out and it's like, wait, I guess the second player is Bowser Jr., but then you look at the way he's moving around and it's like, oh, it's like not really a fully controlled character, or, you know, like,
Yeah.
You know, like only one person's actually going through the obstacle. The other person is just kind of there. It's like something you give to like a child or someone that isn't fully paying attention, or that into video games, I guess. And
I mean, honest.
I know that we know
go
it's
ahead.
basically a single player game with an assistant. Like it, yeah, because since I beat the full game with my brother, kind of wanted to do that with Bowser Fury also. So it kind of also unmotivates me to play a little more initially, but obviously I'll get to it eventually.
It's interesting because as you're describing, I realized, like, before I was saying Nintendo doesn't do anything like just by chance. Like, everything happens because of a reason. Like, they did this because they had the engine and everything. Like, another thing that occurs to me is, yeah, Bowser's Fury kind of goes against the grain of what Mario 3D World's about. As I was just saying, it's built as a 4-player first game. But I'm thinking now, this is like a Trojan horse to get people to buy Odyssey. I mean, like, let me explain. There's a large casual audience on Switch now, right? Like, they snatched up the Animal Crossing, and now suddenly a few months later, that this game's coming out. That seems strategic to me. Doing it after some of those folks that got Animal Crossing in the millions went on to get a heavily discounted New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe over the holidays. Again, this following that seems strategic. Like, really, 3D World is and was always built as kind of the bridge between 2D Mario, which those casual folks are already comfortable with, and 3D Marios that perhaps they feel less so towards. So to offer 3D World and then at the end kind of throw in basically a Mario Odyssey mode right down to the design philosophy being it's single player with secondary light co-op versus, what you just played in the rest of the game, almost feels like they're like, it feels strategic. It feels like they're almost doing kind of like a second bridge further into Mario. They're like, well, you played this, try this other thing. You kind of already know how 3D space works, try this other mode. And I think I made a similar point a few episodes ago when talking about like the new Super Mario Bros. Series and the DS and the Wii, but this is a strategy that Nintendo does over and over and over. I mean, on the DS and Wii, they lured people in with Wii Sports, with Touch Generations. Then they got them into 2D Mario with the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Then Nintendo hoped they'd go full gamer with the 3DS and Wii U and they'd make the jump. Obviously that didn't work, but here it's kind of that same attempt on a smaller scale. Like, people already have their Switches. You're giving them 3D World. You're doing it in a way they're familiar with, right down to there's a new White Cat Mario that lets you be invincible as you go through levels, which is perfectly analogous with how U Deluxe offers Nabbit to go invincible through levels. And, if they like Bowser Fury, there's this whole other Mario game from 3 years ago that, they can boost the sales of. It's like a total evergreen strategy through and through. And for us fans, meanwhile, they got everyone freaking out over how cool Bowser looks in it. So, like, they could have made it Odyssey DLC, but instead they're getting at least some of us to, like me, to spend another $60 instead of $15.
I mean, maybe I missed it.
It's really strategic.
But did they announce a Fury Bowser amiibo to go with this?
They did not. No, just regular Bowser. And
that is
they're releasing a Cat Mario.
That would be what they would announce,
right?
I mean, that'd be nice to buy.
But yeah, they're doing Cat Mario, Cat Peach, regular Bowser reprint, regular Bowser Jr. reprint from the Smash line.
Whack.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah, it's just like the more I think about it, like as you're scrying, oh yeah, like the co-op's like this whole other thing. I'm like, oh yeah, because the co-op is literally Mario Odyssey's co-op, like I was saying before. So it all kind of fits together. This is basically a demo of a different Mario game, but masquerading as a new Mario experience for those who are fans and want something new. It's really clever, actually.
Yeah.
Huh. I see you, Nintendo. I see what you're doing. Marketing other Marios with new Marios.
Clever. Punishing their hardcore fans, yeah. Usual.
I mean, I know. Punishing. They're just making it very difficult for you to enjoy.
Yeah, like honestly,
like
I really wish like Bowser Fury was also available as a standalone thing, but that's not going to happen. But oh well, that would really
I think
best
that
of both worlds. But
that almost feels like that would have been the best of both worlds, because then they could still bundle it with Super Mario 3D World and have it kind of be that bridge and that all branch to the more casual crowd and sort of ease them into Odyssey if that's too intense for them. But then for us, we could just buy it. But I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too and get us to pay $60. And based on the internet's reactions, I think a lot of people are going to be paying $60. Like, they're hitting this from every angle, and it's working for the most part, minus some folks who have level heads like yourself.
It's funny because a lot of my coworkers have been like kind of like shocked. They're like, oh man, like Angel's obviously getting this because Bowser. Like I have like they see me with like Bowser shirts. I've had like Bowser avatars and whatever, and now it's like, oh, he's not getting it. Like the biggest Bowser fan we know. But yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah, but well, stay strong, Angel, stay strong. But when I said they're hitting it from every angle, I literally meant every angle, because even folks who don't have a Switch now can get a Switch that goes along with all this. Did you guys see that ridiculously bright red, not ridiculously in a bad way, just very bright red Switch they announced?
Oh yeah, it looks like a Fisher-Price toy or something. But
yeah, it's
I wouldn't say it looks bad, but the combination I feel like doesn't look that great on the Switch. I don't know.
Well, here's what's weird to me, and some folks online are saying this too, is that and this is very nitpicky. So first, for those who don't know what Nintendo's doing, the cool thing is they're in tandem with Bowser's Fury, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury coming out. They're releasing a new limited edition Switch. It's a Mario themed red and blue Switch, they're calling it. It's the first Switch, I believe, that actually changes the color of the base tablet part, not just the Joy-Cons. And it's very red. The dock is red. The Joy-Cons are red. The Switch is red, like the tablet. I mean,
remove those blue Joy-Cons, slip in the red ones, and bam, like an all-red Switch.
And that, I think, is what's weird about it. Like, if you're gonna make a red Switch, just make a red Switch. Like, really, the only thing that's not red in this is the Joy-Con grip and those slide-on bumper wrist strap thingies we were talking about earlier about, like, the ergonomics. Like, those are blue. Those accessories are blue. And for $300, you get, the red Switch, those things, plus a reversible red and blue carrying case, which is a nice little bonus because normal Switches at that price don't come with that. But yeah, it's kind of like if they're going to just do a red Switch, just do a red Switch. Like, I saw some people saying online, and I kind of sort of agree with, but I don't know if I agree with it enough that I actually care. But like, I get what they're saying is that for a system called Mario Red and Blue, there's nothing blue on the system. It's all accessories.
Yeah.
Which on the one hand, like, sure, I get it. Like, Mario's upper half is red with two blue lines down the middle because it's his overall straps, and that's what they're doing with the, the Joy-Con grip thingy and the wrist straps is there streaks of blue on a sea of red. I understand that. But, I don't know, like, they had cooler special edition Mario things. Like, they had special edition DSs with your new 3DS, Angel, was a really cool Mario pattern.
Yeah.
Like, when you got the new 3DS. And there's some really goofy ones they've done with a giant Mario M on them and things like that. It just feels like this is so, like, low key by comparison. Like, it being red is kind of cool. Like, if you want like an all red Switch, this is the way to do it. If you like having a burst of color on your,
really nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost the same shade as this, I feel like. And if you want like that burst of color on your your entertainment center, like that, this will do that in spades. But to call it like Mario Red and Blue, just I'm like, come on, Nintendo, just call it a red Switch. Or if you're going to do a Mario edition, like, do a pattern on the back. You do it with every other special edition Switch. Like, it just feels like they, like, just dipped a Switch in red, like, dye and went, cool, we're done. Oh, right, blue. Okay, a couple things. Okay, now we're done. Like, I don't know. It just felt a little half-hearted compared to some of the very inspired designs they've done in the past.
Yeah, although even the Fortnite one had, I guess, more design flourishes on it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Fortnite one did, the Monster Hunter one did. Like,
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it just feels very... Animal Crossing was probably one of my favorite
designs. There was a
designs
Pokemon one too, I believe.
There was, but it was
Eevee.
mostly prints. Oh yeah, Eevee and Pikachu, and they had prints on the Joy-Cons and on the back.
Yeah, those
so yeah, this
Joy-Cons
is like
a
different,
pretty interesting, like the brown and the yellow, but
or the mint green and blue for Animal Crossing.
Yeah, that one looked nice for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the smartest things Nintendo did with the Switch. I remember before it came out, I kept saying, oh, Nintendo loves selling plastic. They're going to make all these ridiculous controller accessories for Switch. Like, you're going to slot in, like, you're playing Resident Evil. Oh, here's a fake chainsaw you slot in or something. Like, or a D-pad, like I was saying at the top. But I think in retrospect, one of the smartest things Nintendo did was make...
What a crazy idea. An actual D-pad? Oh, boy.
I know, wild. But I think what Nintendo did that's actually really smart in retrospect is they made, customization and like the modular colors, and basically they've made Joy-Cons like a fashion accessory for your Switch. Like, they are selling the plastic as much as I thought they would. They're just not doing it in the way they did the Wii, where you had all these endless dumb little accessories. Like you had the Wii Zapper, which was fun for Link's crossbow training, but like then you had the Wii Wheel, then you had the Wii Fit Balance Board, then you had this, then you had that. Here they're just like, well, why don't we just keep pumping out colors, and people like colors and they're going to keep wanting to change them and mix them up. And they launched a website a couple of years ago over on Nintendo.com where you could like actually like mix and match your ideal Switch. And the first thought you had, Angel, was, oh, take out the Joy-Cons, put in red. And I guarantee you there's someone like, oh, take out the Joy-Cons, put in the Splatoon ones. You got like a crazy, I don't even know what color scheme. Like it's a really clever way to do.
Fun. Like I like that I could just go from double blue to double red to inverse to whatever. Just
and the fact that you have multiple,
that's just boring. But
and the fact that you have I have all gray. I'm boring. But the fact that you have multiple color options that you like to switch between is Nintendo successfully continuing to sell you plastic just without having to actually develop anything. It's like the cheapest way for them to fulfill that vision. So they did it, just not how I expected.
And I've seen videos of people that actually collect like every Joy-Con color, and it just looks like they have a bag of Skittles. Like it's just crazy. It's how many colors there are.
And it's honestly, it's really cool. And like it's very rare that you can have a system where you can make it that much like yours, so to speak. Like even when it was like the DS or 3DS,
Game Boy
like, okay,
Micro.
Yeah, they make with the faceplates. Yeah, because Nintendo never gives up on an idea. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the Micro didn't do too well. The faceplates didn't do too well. But the idea of making a system truly yours and customizing it, they brought it back. And I mean, really, the Micro faceplate was actually our original riff on the GameCube faceplate. That top of the disc, you could swap that out. They never did much with it, but you could. I think they released like one other one through like a European Nintendo Power equivalent.
Yeah, I didn't even realize you could do that until like a couple years back when I saw someone with a different one. I'm like, wait, that's removable? But,
Yeah, so
the new 3DS, they also have removable faceplates. I wish they had made a cool Bowser one, but the one I have now is good enough.
Yeah, like and I think honestly, from Nintendo's business perspective, besides just making money, like their whole, off the extra Joy-Con sales, like their whole thing was they wanted to transfer the Switch from being a household device to a personal device. And continuing to pump out colors, continuing to pump out new Joy-Cons, like that's how you do it. Because people are going to be like, oh no, this is my Switch because I have these two Joy-Cons. And then, oh, you have to get your Switch or whatever with your Joy-Cons. So it works. It works. But what I at least found more interesting than the special edition Switch, to be honest with you, is that Nintendo finally woke up to the fact that Super Mario 35, the game, needs better in-game events. Like, this was the final and probably smallest piece of news pertaining to the Mario Anniversary plans that they covered last week. But they're doing this new thing in Mario 35 called the World Count Challenge. And essentially, over a given time frame, there's an overarching goal all players work together to achieve. So first up, they're asking players to collectively defeat, I think it's 3.5 million Bowsers in-game between next week. I think it's like the 18th through the 25th of January or like the 19th through 26th or something like that. But if players succeed, anyone who participated will get 350 My Nintendo Platinum coins, which is enough to flip around and for free get the new Smash Bros. Invitation greeting cards that they just added to the My Nintendo store the other day. What?
But not including shipping and handling.
Well, yeah, you have to pay $5 for that, but
free.
Whatever.
I don't know.
It is honestly, no. The actual product
$5
is free. You can get anything you want and shove it into that $5 box, and it will still be $5. They're charging you for a box that you fill with whatever you want, essentially.
Yeah, so you definitely have to get more than one thing. Because I feel like the envelopes alone are like worth $5 or less. A lot of the things on there feel like they're worth $5 or less. So it almost doesn't feel like you're.
Oh, totally. It's retrofitted convention swag from when they had to cancel everything, basically. Yeah, but I mean the invitation, those greeting cards are pretty cool. Like, I don't know, Kevin, have you seen those? You know what we're talking about?
No, hold on. Let me bring up the link. Keep vamping.
So it's basically, on My Nintendo, they now give you the option to get a set of envelopes, a set of Smash Bros. Cards, and then the little wax seal, just like in all the character reveal trailers. So you can have your own.
They're a little more square than I thought they would be. I could have sworn that they were a little bit more rectangular.
In the trailers they are.
Angels?
Yeah. That's kind of immersion ruined.
But I already got it too. What a waste.
I haven't gotten it. I'm still debating. Because I already have like a little miniature version that it was like fan made by someone at a convention. So
Dude,
that
you
one
were-
and that one has the right proportion. So it's like I'm kind of happy with that one. Not to mention,
I'm
you know,
still mad at you about that, by the way. So I don't know, Kevin, if he ever told you the story, but so we were at E3. It was at E3, and someone was walking around, and they made their own, as he described, like little miniature ones, and they would just pass them out at random around Nintendo's booth. Like they just had a bag of them, and they just walk around. And
I think
Angel
they were
spent,
inviting
like,
you to Smash, bro. I wouldn't have got. I wouldn't have gotten one if I were you.
Well, now that you put it through that perspective, maybe not, but
there was someone
Angel
promoting
for, like,
her like own website, or I forgot what she was doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure her info is
in
the actual invitation. It's just like I just have to put the envelope.
But who's gonna undo the wax?
I'll send it your way,
Logo,
Kevin,
yeah.
and then you can decide for yourself.
But the thing that Angel did, that he kept telling me Nintendo was giving them out for like 2 days of the 3 days of E3. So every time I saw a Nintendo rep, I'd be like watching, like, oh, do they have the bag of envelopes? And I'd like follow them around the booth, like, do they have the envelopes? I want the envelope, because I like, it's the coolest piece of swag if it was, you know, actually from Nintendo. It's still cool even though it's not. And I kept, for data, like, I'd be like, Angel, did you see it? And he'd just say like, oh, she was just over there at the bag. And he never said who she was. So I'd look around and see like one Nintendo's like blue shirted people and be like, okay. And I'd like beeline over there. And of course they don't have it.
And then just awkwardly
and
stand
finally,
there.
yeah. And I just like awkwardly, cause I didn't want to be like, can I have a Smash thing? Cause I'm at the time like a 30-year-old man. I'm not gonna be like, can I have a Smash envelope? I'm just gonna really want it internally. So I would just kind of linger and see it wasn't there, and then go back and be like, oh, they didn't have it, and it was like, oh yeah, they ran out. And then finally, I think it was like in the final 6 hours of the end of the, you know, last day of E3, and just like, oh yeah, they never had those. It was some random girl. Like, wait, what? So it was a good prank, Angel.
Yeah,
you made me look like a fool for
innocent.
literally
No one
2.5 days,
except for your.
Yep.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, except yeah. But yeah, but my point was, like, those things are super cool. There is a link on the blog post for who hasn't seen it. And with this new World Count Challenge thing they're doing Mario 35, like, as long as you participate, you basically can get those for free. So that's kind of a nice perk. But back to the challenge, itself, the reason I'm bringing it up is in many ways, this is what I feel like the game needed. I mean, in some ways, this thing mirrors what, like, Nintendo does with their mobile games all the time, where they're like, hey, everyone, like, do a retweet campaign and convince your friends to play this game, and then you're all gonna get rewards. But here, like, I'm just glad they're doing something unique with Mario 35, because honestly, like, the current crop of events in that game were not helping with the issue that I feel like we had when we first talked about the game, which is that it gets old and repetitive. Like, once you have a strategy, you just milk that strategy, and you'll do pretty well. And, like, Nintendo tried to kind of spice it up. They'd have, like, weekend challenges where only certain levels or conditions would, like, you know, occur at any given time. But the fatal flaw, to me, was you didn't get anything out of them. Like, the reason I still play every single Tetris 99 Maximus Cup 2 years later is because it's special. Do well enough and you unlock a new skin that's only available during that limited time that they can then use whenever you want. Like last weekend they did Kirby Fighters 2. Do I care about Kirby Fighters 2? Not particularly, but I'm invested enough. I have all the skins up to this point. I gotta complete the set, so I go back into Tetris 99 and do it. Meanwhile, Mario 35's original challenges were just like, hey, you know those icons you can unlock at any time whatsoever? Well, this weekend, you can also do that. It's just like, all right, it doesn't really feel like a driving force of why you go back in to Mario 35, or like what an in-game event's supposed to be about. So what's nice about the World Count challenges is that they're now giving you something different and something new, and that to me might actually get me to go back and play it. Which, you know, I like the concept of it. It just got old. So having a goal, a specific goal, and having a specific reward at the end of that goal, it's keeping me potentially interested. There's going to be 3 of these. So they're doing the one in January with Bowser. Then they're doing one in February. Then doing one in March. I'm kind of hoping, like, there's part of me that wants them, since the game's, you know, being sunset at the end of March anyway, because Nintendo apparently thinks the world ends on March 31st and all Mario activities must cease. But I'm kind of hoping they're just going to go crazy with it. Like, who cares if you break the game? Throw a 2D Cat Mario in there for February's challenge or something. You know, promote 3D World with it. Let the different abilities be there. See what happens. If it doesn't work, it's only for a weekend and the game's dead 8 weeks later anyway, so who cares? Like, I kind of want them to just go wild with it. I don't think they will, but it'd be cool if they at least try, because this is like basically a little playground. They can do whatever they want. Like, it doesn't matter. The game's, 1, it's free, and 2, it's gone. So, you know, but do you think do you think this will get you guys to maybe try the challenge, like the fact that you actually get real rewards out of it, or are you basically completely over 35?
No, I can't say it will. I don't know. I know I was like initially on it's like, oh, why did this have to be a temporary thing before the game actually came out? But you know, as we've discussed in the podcast, like the actual game itself isn't as fun as you would think because there are strategies that just make the game last a long time without really feeling as rewarding at the end. It's like you're not really winning the way I feel Nintendo intended you to win. And as a result, like I just kind of dropped out of it hard, like pretty early on. Like I got my first place ranking and then I was like, all right, I guess I'm done. And yeah, this doesn't really change my mind about it.
I'm kind of hoping that because you have to focus so much on Bowser in particular, it will change how you play because you have to focus on certain levels and you have to make sure you get far enough into the cycle. But yeah, it ultimately may not be enough. But I'm going to give it a shot. I'll report back.
I'm so tired.
Too much Mario. Just too much. But yeah, I'll report back. I mean, Kevin, I don't remember, did you even try 35 or were you just like meh?
I was just meh
about it. Yeah. And I imagine this isn't going to move the needle unless you really want those Smash cards.
No.
I guess it's like I like the concept so much and just got tired of it that I'm hoping this is like the little burst of newness that will get me back in versus hard dropping it like you guys did or never even starting it.
I mean, didn't you get first or second place once?
I got second place. I Luigi'd it pretty well, yeah.
Ooh. Not bad.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. That's better than I've ever done in Tetris 99. I think the highest I've ever gotten in Tetris 99 is like fourth or third. So, but also there's only 35 people in Mario and there's 99 in Tetris. So Tetris is still still did better.
Yeah, just much more impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, so that's the Mario anniversary stuff. But as I guess one anniversary winds down, another spins up as the Pokemon Company has now begun to outline its plans for, I can't believe I'm saying this, we're so old now, the 25th anniversary of Pokemon.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Which is weird to say.
Huh. Kevin and my brother are only just a little older than Pokemon. Didn't realize.
That's really weird. That's so weird to me. What's really weird is there's a whole generation of kids that like Pokemon was just there in the same way that like Bugs Bunny was like just there and Mickey was just there when we were born. Like that's Pikachu for a whole generation.
Yeah,
that's so weird. So weird. But yes,
funny how Pokemon
so far
transcends like anime as a category, and it's like almost like its own thing.
Oh, it's totally its own thing. I mean, one of the things they announced, which really emphasizes that as its own thing, is this weird music initiative thing, which I was going to talk about Pokemon Snap first, but like this I think is really the embodiment of that. It's its own thing. Is that like the Pokemon Company, one of the big things they're doing this year is P25 Music, which the idea in its vaguest form is to team up with major artists and upcoming ones to create something. It sounds like original music, but maybe a playlist, and it sounds like it may be a preset thing, but they're also talking about activations around the world, which sounds like it may have a live component, but really all we know at this point is the fact that Katy Perry is going to be one of the collaborators, the first collaborator, and in an interview with People magazine about the collaboration, she said that she's really into it because she, and I quote, understands the story of Pikachu. On the surface, you may just think I'm just cute, have a couple of cute songs, but if you dig deeper, you'll realize Chained to the Rhythm is not just a fun little song. And that, you guys, is totally analogous with Pikachu. Somehow.
I
don't know how.
To this just to see what it turns into, but I mean, when you say Nintendo having a music initiative, it almost kind of disappoints me that they just kind of stopped releasing the Pokemon music on iTunes. Like they were doing such a good job, like having the complete soundtrack. Like these are soundtracks that have like over 100 tracks on them, like hours and hours of music. They had one for like straight up was it Fire Red and Leaf Green? Then they had one for Ruby and Sapphire. Then they even re-released. Then they released the other one for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They pretty much got every single one you can think of, whether it's like original or like the remake, all the way up to Black and White 2. They did release one for Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, so I guess we could say up to that point. And I've just been waiting because I've bought in all of them because I do love the Pokemon music, whether I ended up really playing that game a lot or not. I do listen to the battle music a lot, and I've just been waiting patiently for the Sword and Shield music because that music, the music in that game, or at least the battle music, some of them are really really great. And yeah, they just haven't released them. I don't know
Honestly,
why.
I think it's a matter of time. Honestly, because the other, like, literally,
I mean,
Pokemon
it's
Company
been a matter of
their,
time
like,
since like it was the next one on the chopping block. It's just been forever.
well,
It
yeah,
feels
but
like.
I think they're gonna actually follow through because like Pokemon
Well,
Company's
they
like,
better.
all right, so we got new Pokemon Snap, which we'll talk about in a bit, and we've got Katy Perry, and we've got merch. Like literally, all they've announced is
I'll
we're
be right
gonna do
back,
a
gotta take
year
a
of
call.
merch. So okay, but yeah, they're just like
When
merch,
Iwata
merch,
calls,
merch,
you gotta take
and
it.
oh yeah, phone calls are important, but yeah, just like merch. I mean, literally, one of the things they announced is, hey, you remember
Did I
the
say
original
Wada?
Pokemon trading card?
Sakurai?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even catch that. Yeah, but
You're like, oh yeah, that's normal.
I mean that. Yeah, like totally makes sense. I mean, it's not like he could even make a phone call anymore. Sadly.
I guess I could have said like when Iwata asks, you answer. But yeah.
Oh, that's good. But no, what I was gonna say is like merch is a heavy thing. They're making jumbo versions of original Pokemon cards. They're making like Pokemon furniture now. Like there's a Ditto chair, there's a Metapod like sleeping bag, there's that Gengar pillow. You saw that, right? You must have seen that. It's so good.
Internet
For
was
those who haven't seen it,
aflame
we'll link
with
to it on the blog post. But basically, the idea is if you're stressed out, you just stick your head into Gengar's mouth, and it's like it's like a big pillow, and it has a 5 foot long tongue that kind of is like a on ramp for where your head goes, and it's super weird
Like
and
an ostrich
it's
pillow,
amazing.
which are a thing, but Gengar.
It's a what pillow?
It's like an ostrich pillow. Like
Oh yeah, but Gengar.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping more ridiculous stuff like that comes along.
Yeah,
but I'm
Bandai
thinking
is
at the
really
very least,
leaning into these. Like, I just love how they, like the photo shoots they have for these, like just have like a deadpan like office worker, like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's supposed to like give me. I'm tired of all this, and I just need like a mental break, or I'm about to have like a mental breakdown if I don't like cocoon myself into a Metapod or stick my head into a Gengar. Like, I wonder what's going to be next.
Like,
but
literally the photo is a guy on his knees with his head on resting on the desk, like face down, but not on the desk. It's in a Gengar's mouth, and it's just like Gengar's tongue going down his body, and he's in a full suit, like office attire. It's great. But yeah, but more seriously, like if they're making Ditto chairs and they're making jumbo Pokemon cards, like an easy way to be like, hey, Pokemon's 25th, come celebrate, is when people are already there for the Pokemon P25 music initiative, if they just have all the soundtracks at the ready. So I would not be surprised, honestly, if they catch them up and get them on Spotify and Apple Music and all that and iTunes, like sooner rather than later, to kind of coincide with, the P25 thing. Which honestly, like, I know you were saying, I'm saying honestly a lot this episode, but no, I know you're saying that like you kind of wish they did the regular soundtracks, but on some level, like when I was a kid, like I really liked the not actual soundtrack music that Pokemon put out. Like I spent way too many hours listening to the Pokemon to be a Master cassette, and yes, I said cassette, and I'm now showing my age by saying that. And yes, that's Pokemon to be a Master with the number 2, the letter B, and the letter A, because it was the 90s and you don't spell things correctly. But honestly, like, did you listen to that much?
Oh yeah,
You did, right?
I mean, all those like the anime score, for lack of a better term. I think. Oh, that's not even lack.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
It's
like,
straight up.
like those are great too. Like I just wanted to have like all the game soundtracks just for collector's sake, and I mean I also do just love the game soundtracks in general, but like the music score is so good. Like I mean, just like the anime rendition of the typical Pokemon battle or the gym leader battle, I feel are much better than. Well, I mean, they're much more orchestrated and I guess cinematic, for like I'm saying lack of a better term a lot. Yeah, like they feel like what you would hear if you were to like watch a movie with them, and it's great. Like luckily I guess I got like one of the composers from Pokemon to orchestrate.
I'm back.
Welcome back, Ken. We're talking about Pokemon music, specifically anime and the lyrical stuff, like on the To Be a Master cassette and CD in the 90s.
Like,
did you listen to that?
I was in the middle of a thought.
Continue your thought.
Sorry, I was catching him up. Continue your thought, and then Kevin chime in.
Yeah, like on Spotify, I was really happy to find there's like the Pokemon video games live orchestra that happens or used to happen every once in a while. They had I think like one of the composers of Pokemon to orchestrate like a medley. Like it starts with like the original Pokemon, the first Pokemon theme, pretty much what you hear at the beginning of most of the episodes. Then it goes into the battle. Then it goes into the gym leader one. Then it goes into like the victory fanfare that you hear at the end before it says to be continued. Like all straight from the show. And, you know, those evoke a different kind of nostalgia than I would say playing the games do. But, yeah.
What about the lyric-driven stuff? Like, To Be a Master was mostly, you know, like, songs that were inspired. Like, they had, like, On the Road to Viridian City. They had What Kind of Pokemon Are You? Some aged better than others. Like that, Time Has Come one, Pikachu's Goodbye, aged alright. But, were you into those at all?
Probably just the Pikachu's Goodbye one. I think all the other ones I kind of didn't really like for some reason. Or, you know, just the Poke Raps. And just the main themes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. And did you ever listen to this stuff, Kevin, when you were younger?
No, but okay, so as we've talked about on Quarantine Chronicles, I'm a huge fan of anime openings. And while I haven't really heard any of the Japanese Pokemon openings, aside from like the first or second one.
I don't think I have either.
The original ones, okay, so Pokemon went through a transition with Battle Frontier. I think they went from whatever production company they were using to 4Kids as their production company.
No, they started with 4Kids and then I think they left 4Kids.
Oh, okay.
4Kids was the original.
Okay,
yeah.
So they were with 4Kids and then they switched. But the opening theme, the English opening theme songs to the Pokemon anime are bangers. Which one?
The whole To Be a Master album is. That's what I'm saying.
Which one was it? Pokemon Advance Battle had the dopest intro. Master Quest also had a very dope intro. Gonna be honest, I Want to Be the Very Best. Not my favorite one. I know that there's a lot of nostalgia with that one. I don't think it's that great.
That's all there is, man. It's just nostalgia. Like
it's literally just nostalgia. Yeah. It's not that great. Not a huge fan of the vocalist, but yeah, I mean those some of those Pokemon English openings before Battle Frontier are bangers. And then they just released the newest opening for this newest season. I think it's called like Pokemon Journeys. They don't say Pokemon in it at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, dude, that's literally half of like the To Be a Master CD, cassette, whatever. That half of it was Pokemon and had Pokemon named. I mean, a song's literally about going for it. Say another song's like, what kind of Pokemon are you? But then like other songs don't even say Pokemon, but were written just for the album. Like the Pikachu's Goodbye song, The Time Has Come or whatever, never says Pikachu, never says Pokemon, never makes any Pokemon reference, but it's like written for it. So there is a precedent for that, believe it or not.
Right.
But, yeah, like, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I really liked that album. Like, it was super catchy. I mean, it was as close to quality music as, like, my Pokehog brain would allow me to listen to, you know, like actual music, which, I do remember ultimately, because I liked To Be a Master so much, I was then let down with the follow-up project, which was Pokemon World, which was a CD that coincided with the Orange Island season of the show, I think. And it featured, what was then the brand new Pokemon Meryl on the cover, like right before Gold and Silver came out. So I was like, oh my god, new Pokemon on it. But it was a CD single, non-album. So I expected, you know, another full album of stuff like the Poke Rap and whatnot. And instead, it was the We All Live in a Pokemon World song, which was the Orange Island theme. So yeah, I guess it was for Orange
also
Islands.
A banger.
Yeah, it's good. And I think it also, along with that, had two versions of the same music from like the Pikachu Winter Vacation, like short or whatever. Like it was coming from like a 12 song, like really good, like, oh my god, this Pokemon cassette, to a 3-song CD. That was rough. Even though We All Live in a Pokemon World was good. Like it hurt because I wanted like, you know, 9 more songs. But what did save it, I do remember, was it was also a CD-ROM. It wasn't just a music CD. It was a computer CD. And if you put it into your computer, you got exclusive videos, you got a screensaver, I think there were wallpapers, and of course I had all those immediately installed on my family computer in our family room within minutes of getting the CD. And, you know, whenever my parents needed to use it, they had to get past that screensaver of a Lapras or whoever, cause Orange Islands. But, yeah, there was a moment where I was super into Pokemon music, And as much as I was kind of being snarky and ridiculing the Katy Perry collab or whatever else Pokemon Company may come out with, with P25, there are going to be kids out there, and maybe not kids, who are going to resonate with that, whatever that is, the same way we just gushed about intros, the same way I just went off about, or not went off, that sounds negative, but went on about To Be a Master and Pokemon World. Like, I know a lot of folks are poking fun at it. I poke fun at it, but like, it could end up actually being a pretty cool initiative to introduce kids to these artists or to find some new favorite music or what have you.
Can't forget your favorite track of all time, the polka rap.
The polka rap? As in like Weird Al's polka rap?
Is that who sang it?
Yeah.
I don't know who sang it.
But it was Weird Al.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it had to be because polka is his like shtick.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Huh.
But the reason I brought indeed. But the reason I like brought up P25 for any of the game news.
We forgot about one of the most important songs. Brian David Gilbert's Ultimate Polka Rap.
The Ultimate.
Yes. That he built and that he wrote and performed live at a PAX.
It's like a 10-minute song.
Every Pokemon up to
it's
that
quality.
Point. I mean, they did like skip out on like a couple that they just had to shout all at once. But
he did cheat, and then he did do an interpretive dance for like the legendary Pokemon. But
I appreciate the reasoning that like if he were to actually say every single one, the song would be like over in like a couple hours or something. And the interpretive dancing was like, oh, like they're legendary Pokemon, they don't deserve just to be called out. They have to be like, given more respect or something.
Yeah.
It's entertaining at the very least. It's definitely worth a check.
It's very entertaining. I'm very curious to see now that he's leaving Polygon what he's going to do.
Yeah, I was a little bummed about that.
Oh, really?
Me too. But I'm curious if he's going to go further down his
so he wasn't kidding when
hole.
He said that the edible Pokemon was his final one?
Yeah, he was not
correct.
Kidding,
Yes, he's gone.
Which, it's Pokemon related. I don't know. I'm sure Kevin saw that one. I don't know if you did, Jason.
Yeah.
I have not yet seen the edible Pokemon one, no. But I'm intrigued because the Poke Rap one is internet gold. So,
I mean, it's pretty much just him ripping the whole time about how dumb of a question that is. But it's interesting. It's fun.
I'll have to watch it. His Waluigi analysis is still, and the fact they got Doug Bowser at Nintendo to respond to him is still, I don't know if he's ever going to top that in my mind. Anyway, no, the reason I launched into the music conversation now was because we were making the reference of how big Pokemon is and how it transcends anime. And yeah, now that I think about it, like, if Pokemon's getting Katy Perry, like, the sheer caliber of the collaboration is just kind of like with, it's just sort of like an in-your-face reminder of how massive Pokemon really is. I mean, Disney, they get the biggest artists in the world to collaborate on projects all the time. They got Beyonce do Lion King. There's a literal who's who of huge celebrities and musicians for those Disney sing-along specials they do on ABC. They did them back at Start Quarantine. It was literally like every artist you could think of. And nobody bats an eye at that. So the fact that we're like, okay, Perry with Pokemon, like, Pokemon's in a league of its own just like that. Like, it's actually not at all surprising. And the fact that I was surprised they got someone like Katy Perry is perhaps me not really realizing how big Pokemon is. I mean, Pokemon Go alone in 2020, according to Sensor Tower, made $1.92 billion. And that's just one facet of this franchise. So, yeah, I guess Pokemon really is just, it's a league of its own. It's, I think, the most licensed IP in the world or something.
The most profitable franchise ever, right? It's like the number one in something.
I think so. Yeah. So
I forget what the actual
I know it was one of the most. It was one of the most.
Like, just the fact that like surpasses Disney, like in terms of that category, like, it's pretty crazy.
Well, it's because it gets a little like nitpicky because Disney has multiple franchises that make more money collectively, but Pokemon's just the one franchise. So yeah, it's there's ways you could sort of say they're both winners, but yeah, no, Pokemon is huge, and something like this and the fact that they're gonna do this with multiple artists, I'm very curious where it goes because I feel like there's very few franchises where they like bring in an artist or like sets of artists and it actually like works or that they're actually into it. And I think Pokemon's in a league, no pun intended, where it can throw money to make it work, But like, like how many games or whatever can you think of where like they did a original collaboration with an artist and actually like works? Like the best examples I could think of are where they just license stuff, like SSX Tricky having It's Tricky was like perfect, or like, the Offspring in their yeahs in Crazy Taxi.
Didn't Battlefield get Linkin Park or something?
It was Medal of Honor, and what they did is they took an already existing Linkin Park. Yeah, it was Medal of Honor 2014, and they took a existing Linkin Park song and slightly tweaked it. But it was, again, it was
the Catalyst,
and,
right?
Yeah, I don't know how the game was. No, it was Castle of Glass.
For what?
From their album Living Things.
I thought it was like
Are
the
you
Catalyst
sure?
or something else.
Positive.
I'm pretty sure it was
the Catalyst.
Catalyst.
Bet.
Oh, wait. It was both. You're right. They used the Catalyst. The Catalyst was debuted in a trailer for, I think, a Battlefield, but then they did a deeper collaboration with Medal of Honor.
The Catalyst was definitely Medal of Honor.
Then they were both Medal of Honor. Okay. Because for Medal of Honor 2014, they did like a music video that was like half Medal of Honor, half Linkin Park. But the Catalyst, I think they used the original Medal of Honor reboot trailer as the debut for the song. That sounds about right. Because I do remember, actually, I was in college, and the trailer came out, and I was supposed to meet up with you, Angel, and I was very impressed with the technology in 2009 to be streaming off YouTube in my pocket with headphones the trailer, because the Catalyst was playing and the song just came out, but I needed to meet you. So I was like, how do I listen to this? So I was just like biking with the audio of a Medal of Honor trailer and the Catalyst. But yeah, they've done it twice with EA, but neither of them were original compositions. Like, I think like the few times there's been originals, like, most recently Cyberpunk, where they had like Grimes and Run the Jewels. But I feel like at least Run the Jewels, that wasn't their strongest song.
No, it wasn't.
So I'm kind of curious, like, to the extent, like, is Pokemon big enough that they could overcome that? Because, they could just keep throwing money and get Katy Perry to give like a real song, or is it going to be like, we'll just get what we can get. We'll get a B-side. It's fine. So I guess time will tell, but we'll see.
And
that's a lot about not
back for a new Poke rap.
Who knows? They say
Pokemon,
big artists, award-winning artists, and up-and-coming artists will all be part of this initiative throughout the year. So maybe.
He's still alive, right?
Or they'll like try to. What? Yeah, he's still alive. Or they'll try and appeal to the kids and do like Lil Nas X or something. I don't know how that would work, but.
I mean, I think both of those. Wait, maybe it's not Lil Nas, but I know Weird Al came out in an episode of Teen Titans Go. I think he voiced Darkseid, and I think they also had
Weird Al like does a lot of like collaboration stuff with other companies and people.
But so I'm guessing he's still popular enough with the kids. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, he just needs to, every few years he just puts out a song and everyone's like, oh, look at that. Like White and Nerdy, when he did nothing for a long time, then just there it was and it blew up. Like, he's kind of that level now.
Wait, what was the song?
White and Nerdy instead of Writing Dirty.
Oh, Writing Dirty. Oh, Bright and Early.
Yeah. Right. Like he was really dormant for a while, and they just released that one song and it completely blew up. So.
That's how long it takes for him to come up with an idea, I guess. But
I guess so.
Putting food on the table for a while.
He gets permission from every artist that he spoofs. He actually writes them and won't release the song if they say no.
Damn. That's respectable.
He's quite an upstanding guy. Yeah. But anyway, so that's Pokemon music. Of course, games, like Pokemon's about games, and the biggie that they confirmed after they announced the anniversary was that new Pokemon Snap, another kind of here we go again, will be out on April 30th, and it came with a new trailer and some details, and yes, Snap. Did you guys see the trailer? What do you think of it?
It looked like a modern day Pokemon Snap.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, like, literally my biggest takeaway was, it's living up to that new name because, in Nintendo E's, new basically means the exact same thing but more modern presentation. Like, if you look at, New Super Mario Bros., like we talked about last episode, that's just a reset on the DS for the entire Mario franchise, and they rebuilt it from there. So Snap, yeah, exact same concept. I mean, does that mean you're gonna get it, Kevin? Did it catch your eye? Angel, are you going to buy it? Like, how do you guys feel after seeing it?
Definitely not my cup of tea, so I won't be picking it up.
I'm guessing the same for you, Angel.
I mean, I love the first one. Like, it was another one that my brother and I played a ton of, but I don't know. I'm just tired. I'm so tired. Like, I don't know if I I don't know. It looks fun. It just looks like one of those games that I wouldn't mind playing it one day. But I think that's kind of as far as it goes. Like, it's one of those things where I can't look at it in a bubble. Like, Monster Hunter's on the horizon. I'm playing these other games. Like, a lot of game announcements like now kind of come down to, does this look awesome enough or hype enough to pull me away from these other things? And I kind of want to say no right now. But if these other things didn't exist, it's like, yeah, I would get it. But yeah,
that's fair. Because it is, as we were saying, it looks like it is
life
just
is short.
new
I'm going to
Pokemon
have so much
Snap.
time and all that. The usual. But.
Yes, but it is the exact same concept with the exact same premise as what the N64 one was. Like, from what it looks like in the trailer and what Nintendo's released, it's just a slowed down rail shooter where instead of shooting enemies, you're snapping Pokemon as they go about their day.
Snapping Pokemon, literally. I watched a decent amount of the trailer. I didn't finish the whole thing, actually. So, unless, I missed,
because time is short and you're tired and a minute and 33 seconds is too long.
Unless, in the game, I find out there's, a flock of Chatot that appears somewhere, then, that will probably push
Not
it
in the
over.
trailer,
but
there is, I'm very happy to report, Bidoof. Thrilled that Bidoof is in it. So happy.
That's definitely not giving it any favors, but I'm happy for you. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. That's all I ask. But yeah, no, the game, like Angel, from what the trailer's showing, from what the press release is saying, it's the same deal. You get their attention with fruit, you try and capture them doing things as they go about their day. You want to get a photo of each to build out your Pokédex, which here is a photo dex. But instead of being a young researcher helping Professor Oak by riding in his 01 pod vehicle thingy, you're a young researcher
His Universal Studios ride?
Yeah, essentially. But you're now helping Professor
that could
Mirror
totally be a
because
cool ride,
photography.
An actual thing, just make that pod and give people a camera that's attached to the console that you could move around, kind of like a railgun shooter, except you're taking pictures. And then at the end, instead of the picture of you and your family, it's you could just type in the ID of the car like you do in the Buzz Lightyear ride, just so you could find yourself, and you could look through all the pictures you took. Although, because you're not in them, it's not as exciting. Oh yeah, that's the Pikachu in the ride, or that's that. But
yeah,
unless
hey, check out this Pikachu photo that everyone gets.
Yeah, it's they would have to do something else to make it more unique, I guess. Or maybe there's some secret stuff oh, did you get this picture? Oh man, the rare something. I got this picture.
That's basically you're basically describing the premise of the game straight up, because everyone's the game's on rails. You're all taking the same pictures, but it's can you do something unique with it? And then that's what you're rated on in the game. So if they could figure out a way, even in this one, they added additional things you could be rated on.
In the first one, if you bait the Pikachu to go to the surfboard and it starts raiding it, as opposed to just leaving the Pikachu alone and just taking a picture of it, just like that, or throwing the gas ball at it, or whatever they call it.
Yeah. But they're also doing, in this one, they're going to be focused, in addition to all the stuff, the special action and whatnot, also, the placement in the frame, the direction of the photo, whether there are other Pokemon in the photo, what's going on in the background of the photo, these are all new layers to it. So if they could figure out a way to get that sort of granularity with a ride, like they're doing in New Pokemon Snap, that maybe could make that something more interesting. But if it's all just, if it's N64 level of rating, I don't know how exciting that's going to be for people versus if it's something where you actually need to angle and try and take cool photos, or even then I'm not sure. But it's an interesting idea. But then the question becomes, Angel, would you be riding the 01 pod vehicle thingy that Professor Oak gives you in the 64 Snap, or would you be riding the Neo one because it's new Pokemon that Professor Mirror is giving you because photography, so his name's Mirror, in new Pokemon Snap? Which one would the ride do?
It would have to be the new one, just because that's just how most marketing works nowadays.
True. The new one hovers, I think. It has little jet thingies.
That gives more... the old one did too. There's literally a level that's in space and you're floating through caverns.
Oh, true. Yeah, because of Mew and everything, yeah. Or no, Mew's in the cave. He's not in space. Is he in space? I don't remember.
Mew's in space, but there's a cavern area where you're taking pictures of Coughings and Jigglypuffs and Jinxes.
Right, yes.
Whatnot.
I remember that. Yeah. And this is going to have the same variety of environments, apparently. But, honestly, I know, for years saying, oh, it's kind of been there, done that. It's a here we go again. Time is of the essence. You're tired, etc. But, for me, this is basically all I wanted. The game modernizes itself, but it's the same gameplay. The selection of Pokemon's obviously now broader.
Much broader.
There's male there's male and female
This is
Pokemon.
still
So for
Gen 1. I don't even
completionists,
think Gen 2 was out when the first one came out.
no, this came out before Pokemon Stamps. This was definitely Gen 1. This was a stopgap for Pokemon Stamps.
Yeah, literally only 150 Pokemon versus 800 plus. That's pretty nuts.
Not even. It was 63 Pokemon in the original.
No, I mean like that they could have picked.
Oh, yeah, to choose from. Yeah. But yeah, and then on top of that, like I was trying to say, you also have male and female Pokemon. They're now indexed separately in your photo decks, it looks like. So for completionists, there's even that extra challenge. And I'm curious if there's going to be visual cues of who's male and female, like in the games, like little like flourishes, if those will make the jump into Snap. But yeah, the most interesting thing that Nintendo's been talking about is it's going to have online play in some capacity. They're not saying like what or how, but on the GamesNintendo.com page, on the game's official website, there is a reference to online play. I would imagine it's for sharing photos online in some capacity, which could make it fun if they do like a weekly or monthly challenge and you have to like do a certain type of photo and, you know, they use all those extra ratings like direction and framing and other Pokemon in the background to sort of like make you hit certain goals and you get in-game rewards or My Nintendo coins or something like that. That'd be cool. At the minimum, I expect it's going to be to emphasize photo sharing onto social media the same way Part-Time UFO does and Cookie Mama Cookstar does, where they have a little, you know, right in the game itself is the menu to go directly to sharing versus the system menu. So that's all kind of cool, and that's pretty much all I was asking for with Pokemon Go. But if I had to find a nitpick, and you knew there was going to be a butt coming with all this, I'm sure, but if I had to find one nitpick, you didn't even finish the trailer, Angel, and Kevin, I don't even know if you saw it to begin with, but I feel like the environments kind of under-deliver. I mean, compared to the N64, this is a step up, and the Pokemon themselves look nice and have good lighting and good animation, but like right at the start, they show a nest with a toucan, or whatever its name is, in it, and the nest is just like this flat, low-res leaf texture pattern thing. And then later they show grass, and maybe I've been spoiled by Breath of the Wild or even Pokemon Sword and Shield with its limited patches of grass, but it's just flat grass textures, like big grass textures, like Pikmin on GameCube grass textures, with Pokemon just sitting on top of them completely flat. And I don't know, it's just like the Pokemon do look good, and like what I liked about the original Snap, even in like its low-res 3D polygons, is, you know, seeing the Pokemon come to life and act like real creatures was cool, and that is here and better. And I'm sure when I'm actually playing it, I'm not going to notice the ground textures because I'll be busy photographing the Pokemon. But just in the trailer, it just stuck out. I was just like, okay. I guess the focus isn't on the environment whatsoever, but I don't know. I mean, how far did you even get in the trailer, Angel? Did it even catch your eye at all that the textures were kind of just bleh?
I just made it halfway through. I'm actually watching it now.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll see why I mean about the grass in a minute and 33 seconds. But, yeah, I'm still getting the
trailer.
game.
I'm like, wow, I didn't even finish a minute and 33-second trailer.
I know, it's really weird.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But,
I just thought the toucan part.
Yeah, like that's pretty...
It's not
real
horrible,
live reaction.
but I mean, yeah.
It's not horrible, but like we know the Switch can do better. Breath of the Wild does better. Pokemon Sword and Shield does better. Like I was saying, like we know it's possible. The Pokemon look great.
Definitely some parts look a lot nicer.
The water looks nice.
Yeah.
And like the lighting's really good.
Yeah, like the Bidoof nest also looks a little underdeveloped.
Really janky. Yeah. And really only the best for Bidoof, so they need to fix that.
I mean, the Heracross fighting a Pinsir is a really nice touch. I mean, just like kind of playing off of that rivalry, but
yeah, and there's gonna be it's gonna be fan service galore for folks who like, because what Pokemon Snap I think did well the first time is it kind of merged some of the anime with some of the video game world, and I think this is gonna do that in spades, and there's gonna be a lot of like little winks and nods and
oh wow, it even has multiplayer,
things. What?
Hey, you didn't see it?
No,
I'm just kidding. It doesn't.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because I was like, no, they haven't announced online what online is. You can be a man or a woman photographer, though. So there's that. Male or female is probably better way to say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, they're more like kids than like a man or like a child, like a little girl, a little boy.
Also an oddity that someone notices. So the new Professor Mirror, but he looks a little like a grown-up version of the kid you played as in the original Pokemon Snap, whose name was Todd Snap. So if you thought Professor Mirror was a bad name, the original protagonist's name was literally the game's name. But they look similar. Like one looks like a grown-up version. He looks like you grew up into him, but I don't know why he'd get a name change. So,
I mean, it's probably not.
Anyway,
him, but, yeah.
No, it's not. But that's Pokemon Snap.
Oh man, remember those fun names? Remember Tracy, who was like a sketch artist? Because Tracy.
Yeah. Of course I do, because he's from the Orange Island series, which as we
Tracy
discussed had the
Sketchit?
great "We All Live in a Pokemon World" song.
I think that thing was
Mind
Sketchy too.
explode.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
what's this happening, Kevin?
It just blew my mind.
Oh, yeah. Pokemon's not strong on the naming thing. I mean, are you really shocked, Angel, that a guy named Sketchit sketches and a guy named Ketchum catches them?
No, of course
Oh no, I'm kidding.
I mean,
That'd be amazing if we just blew
I mean, that's pretty much what like the Ace Attorney franchise does. Like almost like everybody's name is somewhat related to like the pun or something. There's a few that don't, but
right.
for the most part, yeah. I mean, even just Phoenix Wright for that matter. But
Oh, I didn't even think of that one. Huh. Look at that.
really,
Look at that. Yeah, I never thought about
Oh,
it.
my-
Because they put a W, so I never gave it any thought.
everyone's getting blown all around us.
Yep, everybody's just
Phrasing.
been blown
Anyway.
all around us.
Anyway, so new Pokemon. Let's reel it back. So new Pokemon Snap. Yay, innocence, happiness, children. Yep. Okay, not what you just said. But yeah, that's gonna be likely the first big game for 25th anniversary celebration, but it certainly isn't gonna be the last. Detective Pikachu for Switch, it kind of went AWOL, but I got to imagine the port with that new original ending or whatever is still coming at some point. And this year seems like as good as any to release multiple spin-offs. I mean, Pokemon Unite's coming out this year too, I think.
Oh, I forgot
But there is
about
also
that,
a
too.
growing. Yeah, and apparently, new thing about Pokemon Unite, you can dress your Pokemon in clothes.
Huh.
Why? I don't know. I guess for armor, but you can do it. But there's also another thing that came out at the same time as you can dress your Pokemon in clothes, is there are growing rumors that the big Pokemon release this year might be Pokemon Diamond and Pearl getting a remake later in the year. It could be revealed as early as next month. This comes from a leaker who I guess predicted some Nintendo Direct in 2020, but more so than that, because that's not worth it in of itself.
Yeah, that's the
folks
kind of
have
rumor
found
that's
that
like a pointless rumor to
Well,
make. Because anyone can make that every single year and they'll eventually be right. Because, I mean...
Oh yeah, but
literally just
here's
comes
the
down the
reason I'm
road.
mentioning it.
That being
Here's
said,
the reason I'm
though...
mentioning it, though.
Well, I was going to say, that being said,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I really wanted to get Sword and Shield at some point. This didn't happen. I thought I would wait till, the third version, which, we got the DLC. Still didn't happen. I don't think it's going to happen at this point. I did keep up with what's going on in the game, so I still, I've seen the new Pokemon, but I don't know. I think, I just need I guess I've needed a longer break, just tired and all that, but...
So are you going to jump in with Diamond and
Well,
Pearl?
I mean, if they do make a Diamond and Pearl, I mean, that is at least my personal, favorite generation, just because that's the one that I feel opened my eyes to what Pokemon can really be for me. So... We'll see. I mean, it's also when more chats have debuted, which, definitely is part of the reason I really loved it.
I mean, it makes sense because it follows the pattern. Like,
So,
the Game Boy Advance had Red and Green's remakes, the DS had Gold and Silver's remakes, the 3DS had Ruby and Sapphire's remakes, so of course 4th gen Diamond and Pearl should be on the 4th system in a row Switch. So, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, I know for a fact I'm going to buy it, no matter what. Whether I'll get fully invested like I did in the Pokemon games of yore, that's to be determined, but yeah, I would definitely at least play through the campaign and just
right.
Yeah.
And the leaker who apparently knows things says this is going to be a more serious remake and not a Let's Go style revamp. So that's going to be more up your alley as well, I suspect. But the only reason I'm even mentioning it is
that seems like
what?
Dumb thing to throw in.
What? That's going to be more of a regular remake and not like Let's Go?
Yeah.
Well, he's only saying it because Let's Go already happened. They already did a Let's Go. So now the question becomes, well, what type of remake is it? Who's it catering to? Which audience? So that's why. But the only reason I'm even mentioning it, as I was starting to say, is because there's proof this might actually be happening.
Wait, what?
There's actual proof this might be happening. So, if you type in any generation of old Pokemon game into Pokemon's website, so if you go blackandwhite.pokemon.com, nothing comes back. There's no page there. It's nothing. If you go diamondandpearl.pokemon.com, you are taken to a 403 forbidden error, meaning something's there that they don't want you to see, and they've blocked your access to it. So, something's going on with Diamond and Pearl. They're setting up a webpage for it. Whether it's a game, whether it's just some sort of one of the things they said they're doing for the anniversary is they're going to revisit every region. So whether it's some weird throwback thing, who knows? But realistically, it's looking like, the pattern of releases, the domain being there, it's probably happening. And it could be happening as soon as next month. So we shall see. What I would be surprised happens is if they announce it in a direct. like a Nintendo Direct. Maybe they still do a Pokemon Direct, but what struck out to me, what stuck out to me these last few weeks with all the news we just discussed this episode is nothing was in a Direct whatsoever. Like, instead, Nintendo did a drip feed of a story a day for like a week. They teased us with a Bowser's Fury trailer like it would be a Direct. Like the day before, like, hey, tune in at 6 a.m., but, it was a 2-minute trailer. And I think, in a way, this sort of confirms a suspicion that I think a lot of folks have had, and we've maybe sort of thought before, which is that as long as the pandemic's going on, Directs are not going to exist. Like, Nintendo's fine with partner showcases, they're fine with indie presentations, they'll promote third-party events like the Monster Hunter digital event, that we were talking about earlier, because, hey, if a deadline is missed for a release, none of those are Nintendo's fault. But if you look at how, like, Nintendo's rolling out these announcements, even in their, most recent Direct, which was the Mario 35 Direct back in September, they're only doing what they know is a guaranteed release. Like, the furthest out first-party project that Nintendo's announced since basically the start of the pandemic is Mario 3D World, and that's a port that they've reportedly been sitting on for years. So, like, they seem to basically be taking an approach that when it's first-party, it's better to not say a peep about it one way or another until it's really, truly done. And, that in a way, it's been kind of more fun having a drip feed of Nintendo news. Like, it's nice that, like, it's not just a day of Nintendo news, it's like something almost daily. It's like an advent calendar of Nintendo news.
Fun.
But I, on some level, really don't fault them for not wanting to, bundle it up anymore. I mean, one of the few things they actually went ahead and planned in advance, the opening of Super Nintendo World on February 4th, they just scrapped that. It ended up being delayed indefinitely last week because coronavirus is on the rise in Japan again. Osaka is one of the hot areas. So now the park's done. The advertising's already being run. The preview visits have come and gone. The press already went. Yet it's in this weird stasis indefinitely because COVID. And I think that is an example of why Nintendo is not doing more like traditional presentations. Plus, like, as we discussed with the partner showcases, I think if Nintendo tried to bundle just the news they can share, like, the name has baggage. The Direct name has a lot of baggage. Like, there are expectations. I mean, if Nintendo did a presentation of Bowser's Fury, the new Switch, Mario 35's update, the January Animal Crossing, like, check-in video they tweeted out last week, new Pokemon Snap, and the Monster Hunter stuff, that's a good amount of content, honestly. But because Directs usually have a big reveal or a stinger or one more thing, fans would just label that whole thing as a disappointment. And then if they delay some of those things that they announced, yeah, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
So I kind of get what they're doing. It makes sense. And to use my favorite segue into sales numbers, it's not like they're losing any money by changing their approach and doing this. Like, we had a solid episode of stuff, they had a solid amount of news, and they're selling a solid amount of games. I mean, the full financial breakdown from Nintendo themselves should be out, I think, start of February is when they're doing their holiday sales and everything, so we'll talk about it then. But regionally, we're getting a sense of, like, a monster year they're having. I mean, in Japan, Switch represented 87% of the entire market. In the UK, apparently Switch's 2020 sales numbers were equal to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S combined. One system did what all those other guys did. And here in the US, NPD put out their December and year-end numbers. Without diving too deep here, Nintendo's, they're doing fine. It was a record December. People spent $7.7 billion on gaming, and Switch was the top-selling system in that period. Its games made up literally half of the top 20. For the year, again, record year in spending for gaming. Switch again was the top system, both in terms of money earned and units sold. It actually generated the second most dollar sales of any console in US gaming history, only trailing behind the Wii in 2008. So, like, again, like, Nintendo, this drip feed's working for them clearly. And, like, Animal Crossing had the highest dollar sales of any Nintendo release since Wii Fit Plus in 2010, which had a high MSRP. It wasn't a regularly priced game in it. Now, for the first time, Nintendo has another release that's doing it 10 years later. And, like, even if you just look at the Switch lineup itself, half of the year's top sellers on Switch in the US were Mario games. 7 of the top 10 involved Mario in some capacity, like Smash. 8 of them were actually released prior to 2020. So again, even if Nintendo just stops releasing things, 8 of the top 10 games this year weren't actually from this year on Switch. So my point is, whatever Nintendo decides to do or not do, whether they give us Pokemon Diamond and Pearl next month, whether they give us a drip feed, whether we know anything about what's happening after Pokemon Snap prior to Pokemon Snap coming out, like, things are going to sell. You don't even need new games to do the sales, Animal Crossing aside. So I think from this moment forward, unless Nintendo evokes the direct name, it's just not a thing anymore. Not worth discussing, not worth Nintendo doing. They found their new path. It works. It's making them a lot of money. So, that's it. Directs are done. Yeah. But not only does it work, it's helped to fund Nintendo perhaps do things people don't expect. Like, I know certainly one we didn't expect was the acquisition of Next Level Games, which is kind of our final topic today. It was a few episodes ago. I think we were talking about Microsoft's acquisitions, like in December sometime, and we were talking about like who would Nintendo acquire, why would they acquire them, and I think collectively, if I remember correctly, we sort of brushed off Next Level Games because they already work so closely with Nintendo as a second party. But I guess Nintendo felt otherwise, because right after the start of the new year, in the middle of the night, out went a press release announcing that Nintendo was outright acquiring Next Level Games for some undisclosed sum, and the reason was to, quote, secure development resources and boost collaboration. So my guess is that perhaps some other companies
they're
were
bring out
starting to
Super
sniff
Mario
around.
Strikers now.
They better. But yeah, my guess is other companies were sniffing around, and after knocking releases out of the park like Luigi's Mansion 3, which is the best-selling Luigi's Mansion, and that sort of thing, Nintendo probably didn't want to risk losing Next Level Games. And it is a pretty good get. I mean, Mario Strikers, Punch-Out for Wii, Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3, Metroid Prime Federation Force, which they executed the vision they were told to execute. Like, they did well with what they were told to do. So, like, it's a good studio to have. And it's, I think, Nintendo's first Canadian studio as well, which is kind of cool. But, is there, like, do you guys have a favorite Next Level Games game? I know I do.
I mean, easily Punch-Out. I mean, that's part of the game I would associate with them the most. I mean, Strikers and Strikers Charge are great. I know, like, that would definitely be my brother's favorite game, because I know he played that a ton with another friend of ours. But, I don't know, Punch-Out, I feel like, just made me a big, like, fan of Punch-Out. And also, just, like, as someone that's really into, like, animation and all that kind of stuff, like, that game just, like, overflows animation and personality. Like, it's just so good. But yeah, that's my pick.
That's honestly one of the things I feel like Next Level brings to Nintendo is they have such fluid, like, their animation, the, like, expressiveness of the characters.
Yeah, like,
I mean, even if you look back at Strikers.
Like, it's great. Even just the
art
of Strikers, like, it's great.
Yeah. And, like, Luigi's Mansion, I think I know that you found Luigi's Mansion 3 to not be as your favorite of the bunch, but
2 and 3.
I do remember... Yeah, 2 and 3, but I do remember, and I know I feel the same way, the conversation about, like, how fluid it is and how the characters come to life, and, like...
That is amazing. I mean, it literally feels like
yeah.
an animated short. Like, I mean, the percent they give to Luigi and the quality of the work is great. It just not the direction I felt the game did best in. It wasn't...
Right, and, like, even Punch-Out, like, that was such a character-driven experience, and Next Level really...
Yeah. With how, like, limited the game
I mean... Kevin, were there any of those games of theirs from back in the day, or even more modern, that you really enjoy? Like, how do you feel about Next Level?
I haven't played all their stuff, and what I have played just hasn't, I guess, connected with me. So, but I can acknowledge that they are a good developer from what I've seen them put out. Right.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Angel, you kind of already said it, but I'm really hoping we get a new Mario Strikers out of it, because that's probably my favorite thing that Next Level has done is the Strikers series. Because, like, the sports games I do gravitate towards are the ones that are more arcadey. And early on, like, I really enjoyed the NHL Hits games. And Mario Strikers was basically that for soccer. Which makes sense since I just recently learned that Next Level Games actually developed NHL Hits as well. But because it's Mario, it's a Mario game, there's the fan service of a Mario spin-off, and there's that weird amount of attitude. Especially on Wii, like, Charge. Like, Strikers was some attitude, but when they did Charge, like, my god, like, they had, like, Luigi doing, like, crotch thrusts and...
Yeah, Daisy.
Yeah, it was...
All heck.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense, because, like, the game is, like, the most violent Mario sports game, so they kind of, like... The game itself is fun and has this kind of, like, raucous energy to it, but, like, to have the characters in the world kind of match that, and so, like, a more the closest we'll get to a wild side of the Mario universe was kind of fun. I'm amazed Nintendo let that through, to be honest. Like, but it made for a different type of Mario sports game that, it paralleled the aggressive gameplay. It was really fun. It kind of mirrored old arcade sports games I liked. So I'm hoping now that Next Level Games is under Nintendo's roof properly, like Nintendo's going to do what they did to Retro Studios and Monolith Soft, I'm hoping, and build off that and expand the company. Because, like, yes, obviously Luigi's Mansion 4 is going to make the most sense for what they should make, and it could be a ton of fun. And, you know, they had rumors, or there was reports a few years ago that Next Level Games was going to do a 2D Metroid game. There's even concept art that got leaked for it out there on the internet somewhere. And there are rumors of a 2D Metroid coming out this year for the 30th anniversary of Metroid. So, like, that could pan out, and that would be cool. But I think what would be really cool is if Nintendo actually lets them do multiple projects. Like, they actually beef up the team, which is a precedent that they have set with every other developer they acquired. I mean, Monolith Soft, they make the Xenoblade games, but they also helped develop Breath of the Wild. Retro Studios, while they were doing the Donkey Kong Countries or whatever secret project they were up to, they also simultaneously helped with Mario Kart of all things. So if Nintendo wanted to do like a new Strikers or a new Metroid or what have you and let Next Level Games have a hand in it, that'd be cool. If they want to let them do the whole thing, that'd be even cooler. Like, build up that studio, build up that ethos they have of like the importance of character design and animation and fluidity and personality, and then just like unleash that across some other games and some other studios. That could be cool. I think there's a big opportunity there, and I'm hoping, and I'm imagining because they bought it, that Nintendo's going to act on that. So we might see some more stuff like Luigi's Mansion trickle into some other games.
Yeah. In
terms of the, you know, fluidity. So it's a cool acquisition, and it's very rare for Nintendo to do that. So it's a big thing that they did. They also might have gotten them for a steal. I saw some report it might have been under 100 million yen, which is like $10 million? No, that can't be right. What's the
$1 million? You knock out 2 of the zeros.
Zero, yeah.
No, but 100. Let me see something.
Yeah, just knock off 2 zeros.
Knock off 2 zeros.
Yeah, that can't be right. Maybe it was 100. That can't be right. They paid under $10 million, maybe even $1 million for Next Level. No. They made that money. They made that much money off just like a couple months of Luigi's Mansion sales. There's no way that's how.
Well, convert it then. Jesus.
No. You're right with the conversion. I'm wrong with the initial numbers. What I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I mean,
before we even started the podcast, I didn't realize. Like Kevin brought up that they had worked on a Transformers game. The War for Cybertron companion game to the Wii, which I didn't even know was them. I mean, I'm sure I would have noticed when I booted up the title screen, but I actually bought that game and returned it pretty quickly. Not that it was a bad game, just that, you know, I think at the time I didn't have my PS3 quite yet. I was like really close to getting it. Oh, actually, no, I didn't, because I did have a copy of War for Cybertron, but I played it pretty much almost exclusively on my friend's PS3 that I was rooming with. And I thought like, oh man, they have one for the Wii. I'm going to get that one. And it was pretty much like a on-rails arcade shooter, like the ones you would see, like a light gun game. Like you're either in your vehicle mode the whole time, like it's being auto-driven and just shoot the obstacles as they appear, and then they automatically transform, and then you're doing like cover-based shooting or on-rails shooting. Like it is on-rails. Like it wasn't what I wanted with like, you know, transform and fly wherever you want. Like, yeah. Not that it was a bad game, but, you know, I mean, it's on the Wii, so I probably couldn't even handle the other thing. But, yeah, I didn't know they had quite that range.
Actually, that reminds me, they also had a project that I remember was canceled. It got leaked by, like, Unseen64 or one of those channels, but it was Super Mario Spikers.
That's what I said earlier. But
did you? I thought you said Strikers.
No, I said Spikers.
Oh, you want so you know what I'm talking about then the volleyball wrestling hybrid thing, yeah. And honestly, volleyball games don't sound like to be that fun, but there was Beach Spikers from Sega on the GameCube that was actually really fun. It's like I kind of want to do that, and it would carry their, you know, aggressive, personality driven. I'm kind of bummed that gameplay.
They're a good studio, but I think more than any other sport game, I definitely want another Mario Sluggers. And they had nothing to do with that. I don't remember who made that.
That was Namco. That was Bandai Namco, who's currently preoccupied with new Pokemon Snap. So release some game I Bidoof, but I guess you're not getting your baseball.
Oh, well, maybe once all the Smash DLC and Pokemon Snap is done, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I think they just need to revive Mario Sports in general. It's a huge
not Sports Mix or whatever it was, the other one.
That was Square Enix. So as long as they don't do it with Square Enix. Which, by the way, how weird of a sentence. Square Enix made that sports game.
Well,
Like, what?
I mean,
Who
Mario
thought
3
that
on
was
3. I mean, I thought Mario 3 on 3 was great. I'm talking about the 3D one on 3DS. That was just like a mix of sports, and I think there was that other one on the Wii.
Oh, that might not have been Square, actually. I'm not sure who that
Yeah,
was.
that's
Oh, no, it was Square. Never mind. I think it was.
What? They made those as well? That
I
doesn't
think.
seem
I'm going to
right.
check.
But because I mean, instead of
Sports Mix.
Yeah.
Yes, Square Enix. I was right.
really, that is surprising.
Yep.
Because Mario 3 on 3 kind of had that, like, a little the same energy that Strikers had, I would feel. Not quite to that level, but I thought that was, like, a really well-made game that made basketball interesting. Because it was about, like, dribbling to get more points, so that when you score, you pretty much cash in all those points that you get while you were playing offense and defense. But it was a nice spin on it, but...
I again think the main takeaway from this is actually if they're buying next level games, maybe they can use that to help fill the void in kind of arcadey sports, like Mario sports games on Switch. Because we have Mario Tennis. That's it. Where's Mario Golf? That's not even arcade. I mean, that's not like in the same league as what we're talking about, huh? But that's 2 league puns I made today. Anyway, but where is it? Like, why are they, like, they have all these games that they can easily, as I pointed out, like, what was it? 7 of the top 10 games on Switch this year involved Mario in some capacity. Half of them had Mario in the name. Like, come on, Nintendo. Like, if you're gonna do the Mario milking, like, give us Strikers, give us baseball, give us
Mario milking.
Spikers, give us, if you're gonna milk that poor Mario. But yes, that's my, really, I think my takeaway for this episode is Nintendo keep milking Mario. Please and thank you. Which I never thought I'd say, but here we are. Unless there's any other topics you guys want to bring up, then that literally does it for the episode.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Wow.
All right.
I mean, we still had a nice full episode even without a game we played, because there was a lot of news.
I know, because Nintendo actually, the drip feed of news works. Like, who needs a direct? We still have enough stuff. So with that in mind, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with a new round of Nintendo on January 31st with whatever other news Nintendo decides to slowly drip out. Plus, hopefully maybe we're playing something by then. I don't know. But even before that, you can tune in on the 24th, which is next Sunday, because we're going to have a new Quarantine Chronicles. We're going to talk about the other media we've been consuming opposed to the games we're maybe not playing. So, to make sure you don't miss any of that, you can subscribe to us on every podcast.
I got to take another call.
We're on Google.
Listen to the Persona 5 soundtrack on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you can find it.
That was the most rushed. Like, I think that's his send up. I'll finish plugs and then Angel, I guess you can have final word. But yeah, we'll have. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora. Like Kevin said, the Persona 5 soundtrack is on some of those same services too. So double whammy. And we're also on Twitter at Ram Nintendo. Just follow us there to make sure you don't miss anything we're up to or any possible giveaways in the future. Individually, we're on Twitter at JSR7 for me, Weiro, WEIRO _O for Angel, KVN Gomi for Kevin. Our YouTube, if you want to listen to these shows on there, is RamNintendo.com. And that's it. Angel, take us out since we lost Kevin to the phone call.
I don't have anything. Enjoy your weekend. Or already past. Oh, this is terrible. Bye.